Hey everybody, so this video is just going to be part one of a tutorial on how I make some pumpkins out of these styrofoam balls. So if you've seen a post in a picture photo post, you have seen that I was already making some of these into some pumpkins. So we're going to try to make some rhyme pumpkins. This is the carving part of the tutorial. So before we get started, just want to mention what kind of tools I'm going to be using. So first of all, you want to do this in a well ventilated area. You want to wear leather gloves. You don't want to really be using rubber gloves because we're going to use a heat gun. That just the heat from the heat gun might just melt the rubber. So you want to use some leather gloves. You want to get a styrofoam ball, so something like this. You can use smaller ones for smaller pumpkins. These are going to be more of a rotten look, so we're not going for a very nice Thanksgiving style pumpkin. We're going more for a Halloween pumpkin. If you want to do more of a Thanksgiving, you could get sandpaper and actually smooth out the shape once you got the shape going. So you want this, and you want a heat gun. So I'm going to plug in my soldering iron. So I'm using also a soldering iron to carve this pumpkin. You could use a foam cutter with a fine tip, something like with a tip kind of like this. So you could get better shapes. Now I'm going to set the soldering iron on the side, let it warm up just a little bit before I start carving. The other thing I want to talk about is on this styrofoam ball, you're going to see that there's going to be a seam all the way around. That's going to be a good guide to determine where you want to have the stem part of your pumpkin, so the top and the bottom of your pumpkin. You could just, by looking at that seam, make an idea about where that's going to be at and where your face is going to be. Now, when you are going to be carving this pumpkin, remember we're making a rotten pumpkin, so you could freehand carve where the eyes are going to be. You could freehand do the mouth, but if you don't feel that comfortable, you could go in with a Sharpie and just draw out where you want the face, or what type of face, if you are going to do that, and then go about carving it. Now I'm using here a Black & Decker heat gun. Works very good. I'm going to just plug this one in for now, and then that way when I'm ready to use it, it's all ready to go. And the soldering iron will be ready as well. Now you don't have to use a soldering iron. Like I said, you could use a foam carver. So first thing I want to do is, if you look at a real pumpkin, you're going to see that there's grooves. So I'm already going to mark a spot where I'm going to say this is going to be where the stem will be. So I just put a little indentation there with the soldering iron, and I'm just going to score this pumpkin. So I'm going to score all the way across. Sometimes these foam balls also have a a little marking on the bottom side. You can use that too as a reference point. Just whatever you want to do. You can make lines like this, or you could just go, if you have a soldering iron like this, you could use the bigger diameter side and just really just carve into this and just score it. You don't have to be perfect, because we're going to hit this with a heat gun. I'm going to show you what happens when you actually apply the heat gun. Everything that you scored, everything that you marked is going to get enhanced. It's going to get bigger. And so don't really worry too much if you think you scored the the grooves in the pumpkin too small, it's okay. When you add the heat gun, you're going to basically you're gonna melt the foam in a more dramatic fashion. So I'm just going in. I could go in very rough with this. I don't have to go perfect. I don't have to be cutting this, carving this in a shape of a pizza pie. Now when you are pretty much done, you don't have to do too much. You're gonna have something that almost looks like a ball, like a basketball or a melon, but it's okay. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna just pick a side. Doesn't matter what side you choose. You can just pick a side and make a face. I'm just gonna do a very simple face here. So I'm just gonna take my soldering iron and I'm just going to, make a couple triangles for eyes. Now, as you see, as I'm making an eye here, I'm going in deep, but I'm not really caring too much about this little piece in the middle. And that's because when I hit it with the heat gun, that's going to go away. So I'm just going to make these random shape eyes here. Just simple, what you normally think of a jack-o'-lantern. You might have to apply a little more force to get the shape you want. It's okay. It's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. These are rotten pumpkins here that we're making. So that means it's going to be deformed. So naturally, when you see a pumpkin rot, it normally just deforms. And so we're going to just carve this best we can. Just carving it with random motion, just going in deep into the foam. Now the reason why this is going to be a 2-video tutorial is because I already made some pumpkins. And the painting section, well, once you hit this with paint, this is going to take a while to paint completely, because the foam is going to absorb the paint. Alright, so now we just carved ourselves a face on this ball. So now we're done with that with the soldering iron. So now you want to use a heat gun. I like to use mine on high. You can use yours on low, just depends on you. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to aim it towards the eyes, and you're going to see how that little middle section sort of starts to disappear, and that hole starts to get bigger. So that hole there, you see, used to look like the other side. Now it's a dramatic cavity. So you're going to be doing that with your heat gun. You're going to just aim towards the center and let the hole grow. It's fine. If it grows bigger than you expect it, it's okay. Grab another ball, or it's just going to give your pumpkin more character in that way. So whatever you decide to do, this is more for like going in very raw. Nothing's perfect with this pumpkin. You see the mouth is starting to get eaten away. Now the other thing I could have done was took the soldering iron and start just heating up this areas with where the material is, and I could have, like for example, I'll show you right now. I could have just done stuff like this and dig out this material and then hit it with the heat gun. Now I'll show you what would happen if I did that. It's actually going to be cleaner looking, because then the material that the heat gun right now is attacking would no longer be there. So the heat gets to concentrate more towards the center of the sphere. And actually what you're going to get is something that is going to be, it's going to have a deeper cavity. It's going to have a more realistic look. It's going to take less time to get to that point than leaving those pieces on. But like I said, you don't have to do that. You could leave them on The heat gun on a high setting is going to take care of all that. Now, as you can see, it's eating away at the foam. This is why you want to wear your leather gloves and not your rubber gloves, because how this foam is behaving, your rubber gloves might turn into like the foam. So you just don't want that to happen. So I'm digging deep into this pumpkin here, really rotting away, hitting the eyeballs more. What's kind of neat as I'm hitting these eyeballs and the cavity is getting bigger is it's opening into the bottom cavity. That means if I want to stick a light on the bottom, I don't have to be trying to stick a light into the eyeball, because what's actually going to happen is the light's going to it's going to shine through from the bottom into the top of where all the other sockets are. Okay, so now let's say this is my final shape in terms of the eyes, the mouth, and the nose. Well, now I want to take care of the rest of the pumpkin. So let's hit the rest of the pumpkin with this heat gun. See how the skin just starts to change? All those grooves you did before, they're going to just start to really get more rotten, more rough looking. You could hit this in different ways. You could even add some water and get a little bit of a different look to it if you want to. This is your pumpkin. You do exactly whatever you want to do with it. We can make a little more different indentions. Give this pumpkin some more irregularity. Make it seem like, okay, this one spot, maybe a bird pecked at it and it rotted faster than the other parts of the pumpkin, or moisture got to it and it rotted faster. We don't know. But let's give this thing some more character. You could leave some parts like this too. You could leave some parts non-damaged, non-affected. It's okay too. It just depends on you.